Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. This is 288. I'm here with Cindy Hogan. Any relation to the immortal Hulk Hogan?
No. I wish, but no.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
Or Ben Hogan, the great golfer. No, none of them. That I'm aware of, anyway.
Oh, he's one of the greats.
He is. Yes.
For people who want to know what I couldn't resist from giving that little jab. So
it's not the first time I've heard it.
And probably won't be the last, right?
Probably not.
So for people who want to know what my talk show is about, half hour, 45 minutes. It's uncensored, freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression. Say whatever you want. Don't hold anything back. Ask me whatever you want, gloves off. I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. And it's basically you're supporting a good cause, supporting a good message, and you're making a new friend out of it. So
Excellent.
With that being said, what can you tell us about yourself, starting off?
Oh, well, I'll have to come up with something interesting now that you just put me on the spot. You do that to all your guests, I'm sure, right?
For the most part.
Tell me about you. You want to know personally, or you want to know just like what I do for a living?
It's completely whatever you want to talk about. If you want, you can pass it over to me, and I can break the ice.
Oh, I don't feel any ice here. I'm trying to avoid my English bulldog trying to hump my leg right now. So, all right, stop. I have to show you to him. Look at you. You say hi, Keith? You say hi? Get down.
Puppy.
This is important stuff. Get down. Or I'll have to spray you with the holy water. Jump down. I'm an actor. Been an actor for longer than you've been alive. And I've been
thanks.
an acting coach. An acting coach for, say, my oldest is 28, so about 28 years. Absolutely love it.
Well, same here. I'm 28 too. I guess we're in the same boat.
Yeah, I've been doing, like I said, I've been acting and probably coaching now longer than you. I've got a son your age, so very cool.
Well, if you're interested, I would love to work with you if that's a possibility. Maybe you can point me in the right direction or coach me in how. I'll give you a perfect example why I would like to work with you. It's because I'm different when I'm out on my own and when I'm with the family. When I'm with my family, I basically put this barrier up around me, saying I would like to be. Not to sound like an asshole. I am professional. It's just I hesitate. And if you watch most of my other interviews, if my brother sits in the room or listens to my conversation, I hesitate more because I try. He thinks I'm an ass kisser, but I do look up to him. I use him for an inspiration. But I put this barrier up around me because I try and find the words for it. Don't want it to intertwine. Like, I won't use my real name, but people will know me as Keith Andrew. So when I'm out on my own, I was, oh, Keith Andrew, hey, how's it going? Shake their hand. But when I'm with my family, I'm more will standoffish because it's kind of, I don't know, it's...
Isn't that interesting that, our family should be the place where we can be ourselves, but that, that's not an unusual story. I know a lot of actors who feel more vulnerable and open when they're working than they are, out there in life because, the circumstances and whatever. And that's not an unusual story on your end,
Well, if you can keep... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think everybody needs that place where they can be self-expressed and through whatever art form or whatever, form that takes place for them. And sometimes we can't do that around our family. You and I were talking just before we went live, or however this is working. I don't even know because I'm not 28, so I didn't grow up with a phone and a computer in my hand. So I'm figuring all this stuff out. I have to ask my kids, how does this work? And I was telling you that anybody that's not in our business, it's real difficult to explain how we think, what we feel, what we do. I was telling you, my own father was, flipping through the remote one day about 2 years before he passed, and said, "Oh my gosh, that girl looks so familiar." And it's like, "Yeah, Dad, that's me." And he said, "Oh, well, your hair's different." I'm like, "Yeah." So, it's okay. At some point, you have to get to the point with your family and your friends, and you just have to accept people for who they are and who they're not, which I think is one of the things that you're doing with what this interview stuff that your YouTube channel is really great, and it's promoting being who you are.
No, absolutely. And there are certain people I like using for an inspiration, but most people think I'm an asshole. But it's
I'm
also
not getting asshole at all. So, and I'm a pretty good judge of character. I am an acting coach. So,
well.
what's your disability, Keith?
All right. Well, like I said, I use some people for inspirations, but well, a lot of people just say I'm just talking out of my, what. But basically, my learning disability it's pretty much I'm like you, only I learn at a slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
And say you're 10 and I'm a 5, so you can get things. I can't snap my fingers, but you can get things like this, and if someone hands you like a piece of paper, and you say, "Okay, I can do that. 1, 2, 3," and sometimes I can do that. That's fine. But there's other times where I do suffer from depression. I do have social anxiety. I hesitate more than usual than other people, and I learn at a slower pace. So if someone said to me, "Okay, Cindy, for you're gonna read this book," and you gotta say, "Okay, 1 to 5," and you say, "Okay, no problem." But for me, you would actually have to sit down and go over it and make sure, it takes longer for me to do things. And, when I'm around my family, my nerves are a little more tight because it's hard to express myself how I do when I'm by myself. Because, I have two personalities. I have my family side, and then I have my professional side. So having both of it interact with each other and be mixed, it's basically around certain people. I just don't have a give a shit attitude. I just let it happen. But when I'm walking around with my dad, because I know my dad sees me in a certain way, so I try to present that image, but at the same time, I feel like I'm handcuffing myself, saying, "Why are you like this when you're by yourself, and when we see you as your family, you're standoffish?"
Because you're afraid of being judged.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty simple, right? You don't know this about me, but I'm dyslexic, and I'm an actor, which causes problems. Or it certainly did earlier in my career when I used to feel a lot of anxiety when I would go into auditions, and I would, they would change the copy on me, and I would feel like I would have to go in right away, and I didn't feel like I had the power to go, "Look, I need 10 minutes
Yeah.
to look this over because my brain's not going to process the way somebody else is going to." And so in order for me to give you my best work, I'm going to have to step aside and just take this slowly. And when I started standing up for myself, it got a lot better. I realized I gave myself the space that I needed to do what it is that I needed to do. And, I think we're all different with every person in our lives. We're different with our families than we are with our friends, than we are with our employers or employees. And, I think, and you're 28, you're 28. You're just coming into your own. You're just figuring out I got a 28 and a 27-year-old. You're just figuring out who you are as a man. And that can be really, a confusing time. But hopefully you get to the point where you really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, not just saying it, but honestly, and realizing that, you're absolutely perfect just the way that you are. There's no other you. So, that everybody else and their little judgments has a lot more to do with them than it ever has to do with you.
That's true. I do talk to my parents about my talk show, and they are sick of hearing it because it's like Kenny doesn't go.
No, they're not. They're your parents. Your parents are always proud of what their kids do.
It's true. But the reason I talk about it a lot with my dad is because he's one of my inspirations. And I try to hold myself. Basically, I watch what he does. And one of my other siblings, I watch what they do. And I know it's going to be scaled back. Like, I mean, really scaled back. But it's basically, one, it's a compliment that I'm trying to copy what you're doing. But at the same time, I'm trying to put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
And it's just, with my learning disability, it's, like for you, for a perfect example, I would like to do what you're doing. I'm going to be like I said, you're 10, I'm a 5. Eventually, I'm going to get to where I need to be or where I want to be, but it's more of a scale back. But now, how is that relating to how I'm always talking to my parents about my talk show and my family? Is I'm looking for positive reinforcement. Yeah. I just want someone to say to me, I like what you're doing, do what makes you happy. But instead, I get like, okay, that's nice, and I have work to do. It's basically, I'm just trying to say, hey, I'm not as perfect as you are, but I'm trying to amount to something. There's little things I can amount to and say, I'm not the same person who I was yesterday.
Keith, you're amounting to more because you have more obstacles to overcome. And you're still doing it. Do you know what kind of courage it takes to do what you're doing? To put yourself out there in front of a public that is judging?
Yeah.
And to go, that's okay. This is something I love to do and I want to do, and that makes it okay. The only person's acknowledgement or pat on the back that you really need is from yourself. Because you're doing it for you, because this is your passion and you love it, and you're getting, you said, I do this because I want somebody to say, I'm okay. And the fact is that you are okay, and you're actually better than okay. There's a lot of people that have their full capacities, so to speak,
yeah,
that don't have the guts to do what you're doing. So you're way selling yourself short, mister. Way selling yourself short. Right?
But that's what No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can't keep saying you're a 10 and I'm a 5. You got to stop that conversation, because that's just not the truth. That's just what you say, and it's not the truth. Because really down deep inside, there's a lot of 10s out there that cannot do what you're doing. So.
No, I agree with you. But yeah, I think why it has just. I give you a perfect example. I can't call it part of my disability as I hesitate. But
You didn't hesitate. You had a thought. You got to quit blaming your. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
Well, that's why I would like to hire you.
It's just a conversation, right?
That's why I would like to hire you to be my coach, if you're interested.
I will work with you anytime.
I appreciate it. But, it's just, I guess over the years when I was growing up, I hadn't, and I don't mean to bitch to you, I apologize.
You're not bitching.
I'm just saying, I had this look of saying, I can do whatever I want in public, but at the same time, if I'm with my family, they expect something else from me. So when I try to do both, and you're a perfect example of that. When you're out and people recognize you with, you're by yourself, you're one way, and when you're with your kids, you kind of put a shield up. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
I did. I'll be honest with you. I did when I was 28. Absolutely. But I'm way past 28 now. I won't tell you exactly how old I am, but way past 28. And I think there comes a time when you go, I'm perfect just the way I am with all of my faults and my whatevers. And, it's okay. So I'm pretty much the same way privately as I am publicly. Pretty much. It's too exhausting to me to be any other way.
I agree. And, there's a quote that's I read a while ago. If you try to, I'm trying to find a word for it. If you try to, I'm really drawing a blank on the word. Well, the point is, if you're trying to show people, I guess appreciate or, I don't know, I can't remember the word. The point is that if you're trying to show them that you can do something, that's really gonna bother me now. I can't even remember that word. It's basically you're setting yourself up for failure. Saying, okay, I can show this group of people, saying I can do and impress you, but at the same time, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Because you're never going to get everybody on board with you, right? When you were in grade school, did every single one of the kids like you at school?
Nope, not really.
No, none of us, So, look, life's about contrast, right? So we see the things that work for us, and then we see the things that don't work for us. But, without light, there's no dark. And so without good, there's no bad. So, why wouldn't you have that contrast? So you go, yeah, that's what I don't want. So that's good to know. And you got to know you're not going to please everybody. And why would you even try? That's exhausting. Some people are not meant to be in your circle of friends. They're just not. If they can't, I read a great saying a while ago. It says, if people can't take you at your worst, they don't get you at your best. And so, you have to quit playing small for people.
It's true.
Especially your family.
That's what's more supportive now.
And here's the thing. They probably are inside. They just don't know how to express it. Here's a little insight from being a mother, okay?
All right.
We worry about our kids being successful, if you will, so that they're okay and they're taking care of themselves, because the fact is that we're not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
I just lost my mother 2 years ago, and I really got that her biggest angst in life was, she wasn't settled until she knew my sister and I were good. And I have 2 boys. Now they're both, employed and doing good on their own. I still worry about them. But as a parent, that's all you want for your kids. You want them to have more than you did, to be happy. And that's all. And if you're always saying, I'm a disappointment to them, or I need to, reach higher, I wish they were more supportive. They just may not see you as you see you. You need to keep letting them know that you're okay and you're doing something that you love. And that's really all parents ever want to know. Because as long as you're doing something you really love, it'll all work out. I promise.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. Someone recently said, I like your work. You're really an inspiration. Mm-hmm. And I said, I would like to be. I would like to consider myself that. I really don't see it, but, if you're saying that, thank you. Thank you for the compliment.
Mm-hmm.
But,
you take that in, yeah. Well, like I said, not everybody can do what it is that you're doing.
No, absolutely.
Or not.
I'm giving you this person a little plug. This person who wants to interview me. Basically, I interviewed this talk show host, Susan Brenner, and she's creating a project for people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. And the guy she was talking to said, I have my own talk show and I have cerebral palsies. And so I have something perfect for you. I was just interviewed by a young man named Keith Andrew, and I interviewed him for my show. I think it would be perfect to have Keith on your show. And I was like, oh, that's news to me. I would love that. I would love to be interviewed. Because I'm reaching for, I heard about the brass wings speech or climbing the ladder and just, I tried reaching out to Fox News, CNN, ABC, NBC, or whatever, and a whole bunch of different people like the Times Herald Record, Times, Washington Post, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, and none of them seemed interested in what I'm doing or want to give me the time and place to say, hey, maybe we should give them the story or maybe we should give them some airtime. But having someone who has cerebral palsy have his own talk show say, I would like to have you as a guest, that does make me feel good about myself because the whole point of doing this is to say, hey, I may have a learning disability, I may be mentally disturbed, or how my school around me are retarded and I learn at a slower pace, but look at what I'm able to accomplish. If I can do it with a disability, then whatever label you're going to throw at yourself, then why should you have labels? It's basically what I tell people is labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. And you should prove to them you can step out to something. I don't know. I'm doing the best I can with the disability. And
you need to quit saying all of that with my disability, with this, with that. I am doing great work for a great reason. That's it.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I am doing great work for a great reason.
Yeah.
And it's just... like how I get all hyped up and all at the same time it's like someone flips the switch and it's kind of like then you start downing yourself. I don't know, I guess it's through the atmosphere I'm around. But it's just...
Then get yourself out of that atmosphere.
Working on it. If you want to help me with that, if you have a room for rent. But the point is, I'm doing the best I can with a learning disability, number one.
That's right.
2.
You're doing the best you can with what you know right now.
Absolutely. 2, I'm networking. I'm looking for people on my own. I'm doing like what... I tried reaching out to marketing firms. And they're like, oh, you can pay us $2,000, $3,000. But I'm pretty much... And I got into an argument with the last one. Because it's like, oh, we can help you with social media. I'm like, well... I'm always on social media, so I'm good in that area. Well, we can always find people to be on your show. Yeah, I've been doing that for 3.5 years. What I want from you guys is to give me TV time, to be written about. Yeah, we don't do that. It's like, but why am I wasting my time with you? Because, I interviewed actors, actresses, models, CEOs, professional wrestlers, dancers, cheerleaders, people who have learning disabilities, people without learning disabilities. I edit my show all by myself. I advertise and I promote myself on LinkedIn, Stage 32, Twitter, all these other popular sites. So I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's just at the same time I'm like, why isn't it moving as fast as I want it to?
Well, have you decided what it is you want to move? What do you want to see happen? I mean, have you clearly defined what kind of a goal you are looking for?
Well, it's pretty much, I would like to get some exposure as being on TV or being written about. That's my next goal that I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. When I usually save this at the end, but I'm going to throw it out right now. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your honest opinion, and how do you feel now? And if you were an editor, would you honestly write an article about me?
When you first contacted me, it's been a little while since you contacted me. I don't remember what my first thought was, but I was like, oh, how wonderful that somebody would want to, sit down and have a conversation about what it is that you're up to and what it is that I'm up to. I thought that was really great. And then when I read about your background a little bit more, I thought how incredibly encouraging and inspiring it is that you have. I didn't even know what the disabilities were, but the fact that they. Oh, my agent's calling. Sorry. I'll call her back.
Hey, anything can happen live.
There you go. I just thought it was really courageous of you to put yourself out there like that. And so I don't have a different opinion now, other than now I really see how courageous you are, because you're battling some obstacles to make it happen. If I was an editor, I'm a terrible writer. You would not want me writing an article about you. But if I was on a talk show host or something, I would certainly, find you interesting to bring you in and go, tell me what you've run into as a, quote, disabled person trying to do sort of mainstream marketing, YouTubing, whatever, new media, whatever you want to call this stuff. I would find that fascinating, because there's probably I think what's so great about the internet is that it has allowed people like you and me, people, where you can have a lot more exposure about the things that are important to you. There's a platform to speak out on. So how fabulous. Do you really need, who turns on the TV anymore? Well, I don't know, I don't. Everything you watch is on this screen here, pretty much, or, on this thing, right? So to have a goal of, being on TV as a talk show host and or, to be interviewed and whatever is great, but I don't know that you're that far off the mark doing what it is that you're doing. More so, I think you need to sort of restate that goal and go, what I want to do is touch, move, and inspire people to be all that they can be. And I think that'll get you close to where you want to be if you focus on that.
Well, like I said, if you would like to help me with that, I appreciate it. And while on the subject, you mentioned the whole who wants to be on TV, that's good. That's one of the things I'm working on. But I've been playing with the idea of being on Netflix, being on Hulu, and maybe, with the whole social media phenomenon going on, maybe that should be the first step. I'm already on YouTube. Why not see whatever websites like Netflix and Hulu might take an interest in what I'm doing?
Sure, it doesn't ever hurt. I would suggest that when you do your interviews, it's not in your bedroom.
Yeah, thanks.
Or you make your bed when you're going to do it.
Well, I'd say my bed's over here. I share my room with my brother.
Oh, okay.
So, like I said, every season's different. I'll give you a perfect example. When I first did my talk show, and this is wrapping up, when I did my talk show, what you saw, the reflection, it's basically what the camera got. So this is the camera, and I'm recording what the computer screen showed. Season 1. Season 2, was, okay, here's, there you go, I'm going to turn my thing off. Okay, so now Season 2, here's the camera, and now it's on a tripod, and I'm recording what the camera saw. So basically I had the camera to the phone, to the camera, to the computer screen. Now I'm using...
And you have a learning disability? You lost me, That's all technology that I'm going like I said, you better pat yourself on the back. Not everybody can do what it is that you're doing.
No, absolutely. And people said to me, well, why didn't you use Skype Recorder from the beginning? Yeah, I could have, but then you wouldn't have seen a transition. When I first started, I was more hesitant. I had severe panic attacks. By doing this is basically therapy for myself. because it helps me interact with people. It helps me overcome whatever obstacles. And yes, it makes me better about myself, and it gives me the confidence to saying, I created something that's mine, and I'm going to walk with my head held up high.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I'm going to pass this show over to you with the last 5 minutes left. But was there anything you wanted to talk about, anything you want to promote? This is your time, after all.
I've enjoyed, more than promoting something, I've just enjoyed, having a conversation with you and reminding the general public that, at 28 is where dreams start fostering, and that, I just think what you're doing is really terrific. I just finished doing a film that's going to come out, I think, in Easter. I'm not sure. It's called Case for Christ, and it's based off of a true story. So I'll promote that. That was a really great and fun project, and it's off of Buddy Verbal's story, who wrote the novel, and he was worked for the Chicago Tribune as a journalist. And again, there's just another story of overcoming certain obstacles in their lives. Yeah. Oh, you froze up. Okay, now you're okay. Get this look.
This is why I would like my own studio, so we can. That's the next thing, I started from the phone to the computer screen. I want my own studio, and like I said, it's all therapy for myself, turn myself into a better person. But I think sitting down one-on-one, it's the next best thing. Maybe that will get more people interested. I give you what I go now available on YouTube.com. It's the best of the Keith Andrew Network. You can watch Season 1 and all of Season 2. And you can see what I'm talking about from video quality. From the camera, from the phone, or the phone camera to the computer screen, or into the Skype thing where it's now cut in half. I'm on the right, you're on the left. You see a transition where, from 2013 all the way to now, for the 3 years and a half, you see a transition, but there's a growth. That's why I didn't do Skype recorder. Yes, I would have been wearing different shirts or professional shirts or different lessons, but you wouldn't have seen actually any growth. You wouldn't have seen how I changed over the 3 years. So that's why I did phone, camera, Skype recorder, and now to sitting down with the person and talking to the person. That's my next goal. But it's every interview is different, and actually the next question I was going to ask you is: are you on social media, and do you have a big fan following?
I'm on social media. Somebody else kind of ran it for me for a long time and then gave it back to me because they had moved on to something else. And I'm terrible at it. I'm just terrible at it. I didn't grow up with it, so I was like, yeah, I have a Twitter account. I don't even know how to get into it, to tell you the truth.
Well, the last question, we're wrapping up because I actually do the last question during the interview, is do you think your social media following dictates if people should give you a chance, or is it based on the message that you're given that you should be given a chance?
A chance at what?
I'll give you a perfect example. A lot of people send to me and turn down interviews because, if I was on your show, and using you for an example, if I was on your show, you expect me to get 1,000 people, 500 views. Does that really matter? And people should judge you on that, or is it because I have a disability, I'm showing people what I can amount to?
I think that should be the bigger message. The problem is that this is a business like any other business. And I know, Bubba. And in a minute, it's unfortunate, but it's, having that many followers is sort of a built-in audience, which is important business-wise. But the message, I think, still needs to be there. As far as acting goes, they have been looking at that as part of their process. I'm too old school You
Yeah.
know, I think your talent should be the thing that sells it, your craft. And I don't think running a really successful social media is, I guess it's a craft in its own. It's just not my craft of acting. But I think it has its place. I'm just not real savvy at it, and that's too bad. But hopefully, people don't judge your talent and or your message just by how many clicks you get, because I think that's an inaccurate measure, to tell you the truth.
No, absolutely. It's not about how many views or. I'll give you a perfect example. As of right now, I have my Twitter numbers are up, from 3 years ago. Thank God for that. And, my like page is going up. But, like an Instagram, I can take it or leave it. But, Facebook and Twitter, my numbers are like going, like this. But it's basically, I don't pay attention to the numbers because that doesn't really matter to me. What I want is saying the message. And, if my message is not good enough for some people, like I said, you can't please everyone. If you try to please everyone, you're going to set yourself up for failure.
Well, you won't please yourself that way, and that's the most important place to start.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, I do have 2 questions for you for off the air.
2. Okay.
But now, wrapping up the interview segment, I can't even talk. It was a real honor. Like I said, every interview is different, so don't judge me on this.
I'm not judging.
Well, not you, for our listeners, I mean.
At all. At all.
Oh, that wasn't directed at you, that's for our listeners.
I know.
And now, wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest. And I'm looking forward to building a friendship with you and working with you as well.
Excellent. I look forward to the same. We'll figure out a way to create a project.